Family, friends, brothers and sisters, greetings. Today is a very exciting day and a historic day, I would say, on this platform, on the AfriKili platform, on this Saturday, April 19th, 2025. I announced it over 2 weeks ago. Well, the time is here. If you're an entrepreneur, this is your show. If you're somebody who just has an idea who you're not quite sure how to proceed, how to turn your idea into a successful business, this series that we're starting today, this business series, is for you. I guarantee the information that we will cover starting today and going forward in our new business series called the Business PAC, this information will help anybody transform an idea into a tangible business outcome, into a successful company, into a startup. I guarantee it. Make sure you stay tuned until the end. Let's fasten our seatbelts. Let's dive in and let's get to work. Very excited about this. Let's go. All right, family. So, wow, this is really amazing for me. It's been a long time coming. All right. So this is a brand new series. Now, if you followed this platform for a while, we started initially as AfriKili. That was a bit over almost 3 years ago. And then gradually we evolved from AfriKili, which was really more produced type videos, heavily produced videos with a lot of research. It brought a lot of values and a lot of you liked it. But then we transitioned a bit into the Global PAC Show, which is our live show. So for the first time, this past January, we started bringing you live shows, right? And so that's the Global PAC. Well, today we are starting a totally new series. This is now a business series called the Business PAC. The idea here is to bring you once a week a discussion about businesses. Now, I had announced that this will start happening on Fridays. And so that's still the goal. Even though today's Saturday the 19th. Well, yeah, I planned to start that yesterday, the 18th. Life is what it is. But be that as it may, the goal is to come to you once a week on Fridays. All right, bring you a business topic and really bring you tangible information that will bring real value into your life, some real actionable information, because AfriKili and the Global PAC concept is really more about information, sensitizing you and so on and so forth. Well, this business segment will really be about the action piece, how we get all that information and transform it into action. So that's really the goal of this. I'm so excited about this, and I really look forward to getting going. Well, you may ask yourself, why? Why are we even trying to start this business PAC concept? Well, to me, it's very clear. As I like to say on the platform, if you've been following it for a while, there's an expression I like using, right? And that expression is money talks and BS walks. I mean, because you can talk all you want. You can have all the great ideas that you want. But if you don't have any financial muscle or any financial backing to support the implementation or the execution of those ideas, well, you will be stuck in neutral. Resources are important. And so this series is really about that. Discussing topics, information that will allow us to get into action so that ultimately it can allow every single one of us to create wealth, to be in a position where we can transform ideas into something more profitable and so on and so forth. But also beyond that, this platform, I've been preaching from the get-go. This platform is not about complaining or just pointing, accusing. It's about advancing and it's about action. So this business PAC concept, again, just goes in line with that. And finally, that there's 3 pillars to this platform anyways. Whether it's AfriKili, that brings you the produced show, whether it's the Global PAC, that brings you live shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whether now it's this business PAC, our 3 pillars are the same, and those have not changed. It's about Pan-African history. It's about political action, and it's about economics and finances. And so the business pack falls into this finance. And also, why Friday? Because this will be about action. Like, trust me. I mean, I'm talking a lot now, but once we get going, you will realize that this will be about action. I think that putting it on Friday is fantastic, right? Because it will allow us to maybe discover new information on Friday. And Friday is typically the end of the week, the beginning of the weekend, right? So if we get new information on Friday, it will allow us to let that information sink in, for us to digest that information. And then you have the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, if you want to try to implement it or exercise it or execute it. So you have those 2 days to be able to do it. And then that gives you also a week until the following Friday, as you will see, like when we cover series like today, where we'll be giving you very specific steps to turn your ideas into businesses, then I think this format will be ideal. At least we're trying. If when we start, nothing is non-tangible in life, right? This will be a feedback-based approach also. So you'll tell me what you think, what you like, what you don't like, and then if ultimately we feel like the time doesn't work or the day is not the best, then okay. So what will we start with? All right. So today I'm very excited to tell you that, as you saw in the thumbnail, the title of the show essentially told you that this is how to launch a successful startup, successful business. This is the first series that we will cover in the Business PAC. And more specifically, I will be providing you information which is taken from something called the 24 Steps of Disciplined Entrepreneurship. Now, this is taken from a book by a professor called Bill Aulet, A-U-L-E-T. This is essentially a framework, all right? It's a proven framework that really is, you'll see it when we get into it more in detail. It's a framework that is taught in some of the best business schools around the world. It's a framework that works, and it's a framework that I myself have utilized, and it brought me some very satisfactory fruit. So that is why I've decided to cover and begin with this information from Bill Aulet. And I'll show you some screen, but again, my conviction, and I can honestly guarantee that those steps are steps that anybody can follow, and anybody can have successful outcome with those steps. And also, entrepreneurship, as I mentioned before, right? Money talks, BS walks. Entrepreneurship is absolutely key. And so I see entrepreneurship as a great opportunity to create wealth, because whether it's a global PAC, the global Pan-African community, and other communities, there is more and more wealth inequality that has been created across the world. And this does not only apply to Black people. We now even have more classism. We now have situations where, look, the wealth inequality is a real thing. And so entrepreneurship is not a panacea, but it's a tool, right, that can allow many people to position themselves in a way where they can start creating additional income or side income or even more income to the point of creating wealth, so that ultimately entrepreneurship can be utilized as a tool to minimize, or at least start mitigating, some of the wealth inequalities that we're seeing around the world. I'm a firm believer in entrepreneurship, being a repeat entrepreneur myself. And so it's something I'd like to say. I mean, look, I can assure you, as we start getting deeper into the story, and maybe you probably know a bit of my story because I've mentioned it a few times. Look, I'm just somebody who's like many of you that are watching. Maybe I'm somebody who's a repeat entrepreneur. I'm somebody who's tried a few concepts before. Okay, some have failed, some have succeeded, but many times I would say in previous entrepreneurship experiences, it might have been very instinctual, right? Where I have a hunch, I have an idea, and I pursue it, and I start developing it. And many people might be in that vein, where you're doing things in a very instinctual manner, right? Trying to start your business, you read a bit on something, but really nothing very structured. And so for me, I got to a point where I felt that, you know what, I might need something more structured. And so for me, the solution was to enroll in business school. So this is what I did a few years ago. I ended up deciding to get into business school, pursue a graduate, so a postgraduate education, a master's, as an MBA. For me, that was a way, again, to maybe learn a more structured approach into leading businesses and conducting business. So that was why I ended up enrolling in business school. And so the method that I'll bring you today is a method that I learned in business school and that I applied. And so just so that you will see, so I'm wearing a shirt that says RICE, RIC, so RICE Business. So that's the school I ended up enrolling in. Not to give the school any publicity, that's just so that you at least get an idea that what I'm bringing you is not just something that is, that has no credence into it. And so here, for example, is I'm going to bring you a picture. This is yours truly. So this was me as I went through the Rice University business program, graduating. After a while, the picture is kind of small. Let me make it a bit big. Okay, so you will probably, my face will be hidden a bit, but at least you can see. So yeah, so that's yours truly right there. So as I went through the Rice business program, graduated from it, which was a fantastic opportunity. But honestly, as I was going through that program, it was so phenomenal. I think I learned so much, but I kept thinking, it's like, okay, I just wish, first of all, I had this information a long time ago. But secondly, I was constantly thinking, what can we find a way to make this information readily available to the masses? Because I'm a firm believer that some of the knowledge that I acquired during that MBA training and program is information that can help you, can help so many people around the world that are trying to start businesses. And so that's really, honestly, I kept going through, man, what I wish entrepreneurs, this information can be made freely available to many. And so this Business PAC concept that I'm starting is in a way that I'm certainly not bringing you an MBA over this channel, right? I'm not claiming that. I'm not even a professor per se. I'm just a guy like you, but who has gone through it, who gained so much value, and I want to share that with you. But not only theoretically, also combining real life situation to make this information very actionable. So this is what the Business PAC wants to be, and this is what I will aim to do for you. And so it's ultimately, if we do this correctly, I've already told you, I'm a firm believer in entrepreneurship, like a firm believer in entrepreneurship. I believe entrepreneurship can make a big difference in our communities. And I believe that when we, like somebody of African origin like me, I believe that entrepreneurship can also be a tool utilized for like business people on the African continent to be able to help the continent rise and help the continent become a strong economic force. But that applies to the entire global PAC, the entire global Pan-African diaspora. But not only that, that applies to anybody really who just is disciplined enough, is determined. Anybody, can pursue entrepreneurship and succeed with it. And so this, what we'll be covering, it's essentially, as I already said in introduction, it is from this book. All right. So the book is called Disciplined Entrepreneurship. So this is a program. So when I went through business school, the way it worked, so we did a whole semester where we took in the theory. Okay. So, and this was specifically within the entrepreneurship program. So in my MBA, I kind of focused a bit in finance, but also in entrepreneurship. And so we followed that for one entire semester where we went through the entire 24 steps. And then after that semester, which was called the New Enterprise class, So the new enterprise at Rice University. So you go through the 24 steps where you actually form groups, you brainstorm on ideas, and then throughout that semester, you work on transforming that idea into something tangible by following the theoretical steps. And then the following semester, you now go from the new enterprise class into the new enterprise lab. And so the lab now becomes the action. And so I spent 2 entire semesters going through first the theory and then the following semester into the lab, really reinforcing these steps. And so this book, as you can see here, the top one, this one here. So that's the version that I will be following, that I'll be presenting to you. Okay, so it is, you can see I have it here. My book is so old and marked. I mean, over the years, I've totally marked and scratched it. The cover is even coming apart. So that's the one I will do. But the reason why I put the picture on the bottom is that the book was revised. All right, so the top version that I went through and that I'll be presenting is the version came out in 2013, but it's still very applicable to today. But there's a revised version, the one underneath it, which is essentially the same, by Bill Aulet. Came out in 2024. It's been revised, has a bit more of the technology or something along those lines. And so that's what I did. But again, I will present you the top version. And just so to show you, this is not just theory, because my idea was so good that it actually turned into a company. And I will show you. So I ended up entering a competition at Rice University. So a pitching competition, and bam. So this is me here. I was a finalist. So we entered a business plan competition. It turned out into like pitching competition. So I was a top 3 in that competition, a finalist in that competition. So this is me here. The picture is a bit small. Maybe let me see if I can make it bigger. So this is, again, not to brag, just to kind of show you that these ideas work. And it worked for me. So I ended up being a finalist. So that's me right here, right there, pitching at this competition at Rice University many years ago. So folks, these ideas work. That's what I'm trying to transmit here. Stay tuned until the end. These are concepts that will really help you. I will not do it over 2 semesters. We don't have that time. But here, the idea is to come to you every Friday, go through those steps, and I'll show you those steps. And I might be able to combine 1 or 2 steps on some Fridays so that within 12 weeks to 15 weeks stops, we're able to go through this. Now, I highly recommend that you get the book. Let me just put the picture again for you in case you didn't see it. I know you can always rewind the video if you watch it, but I highly recommend getting the book so that if you want to go faster, you can go through the steps. And then on Fridays, when we review some of the steps, you can come and review it with us. The idea is to make this actionable. I want every one of you that's watching this to be able to go through the steps together with me as I'm going through it. And I will show you actually the company that I ended up pitching and that turned into a company. As we go through the steps, I will show you how we went through it. So you will see my real data, how we did it. And you will see how ultimately it transformed into a company. And so you too, as you follow this, you can, if you get the book, it'll be very helpful, but you don't have to do it. I'm not doing any publicity to the author. I'm not getting anything, but I just think it will be helpful if you're able to get that book. And then we go through the steps together on a weekly basis. And then you get the Friday night and the Saturday, Sunday to work on it. If you so decide, then you'll be able to get to the end and essentially, succeed at that. So let me take out this picture here. Yeah, I mean, look, okay. Some people, I've heard this a lot, and I don't know where you are if you're watching this. Maybe you have an idea. Maybe you've started a business that hasn't worked, or maybe you want to enhance your business, or you're one of those people who just thinks, well, entrepreneurship cannot be taught, because that's something that I hear a lot. And there's a misunderstanding that I want to clear. There's people that tells you that entrepreneurship is not something that can be taught. It's reserved to like superhumans or something like that. Well, let me say that's not true. It is true that entrepreneurship is not an exact science, because even the steps that I'm following here that I'm about to present, it's not necessarily an exact science, but it's a framework. And there's a reason why this is being taught at some of the best MBA programs in the world. Like these 24 steps is taught in MIT, I believe Harvard, Rice. So some of the best MBA programs in the world utilize this method. All right. But I know an MBA can be cost prohibitive. If you want a business loan, you will graduate from an MBA program with over $100,000 in student loan. So it can be very cost prohibitive. However, although I'm not bringing you an MBA here, I will bring this information to you so that it can be helpful. And you will see that entrepreneurship, there are skills that can be taught. Now, of course, planning is not a guarantee to success. We can all agree on that. But the one thing I'll tell you is that failure to plan is almost a guarantee to fail. All right. So when you plan, you're not guaranteed to succeed. But if you fail to plan, you're almost guaranteed to fail. So, but planning, however, when you have a plan, you have a roadmap, whenever you're in the cauldron, because entrepreneurship, you will have fires left and right. It'll be a storm. Or when you're in the middle of that storm, right? And you have a plan, a roadmap, it helps. It will help you tremendously refocus and be more efficient, which is why roadmaps and frameworks are very, very helpful in my opinion. So, I mean, that's essentially it, right? It's all I'm asking for you is to just make that commitment. If you're willing to, and you're disciplined, as the book says, disciplined entrepreneurship, and you commit to it, I guarantee again, after those 24 steps, whatever idea you have, you will either you will figure out very quickly that maybe it's not the right time for the market, or you will very rapidly be in a way to test it. And that's really the idea, because many people might do this while you're working. And when I started back then, I was in a position like many of you. So you're working, or you're going to school, maybe for some of you that are watching. So you don't have infinite amount of time. So you need to be very efficient when you try to start maybe as a side hustle or side thing, right? You want to do it in a way that's very, very efficient. So if you are dedicated and disciplined, this method will allow you to get there very, very rapidly. So there you have it. All right. So essentially, that's that. We will go through it now. I want to, before we get into the steps, I'm going to show you what those steps are, because I mentioned 24 steps, and you're wondering what in the world is that. I will show you what those steps are. But before we do it, let me cover something that's talked about in the introduction of that book, which I find very profound. And so there's 3 myths. So the book starts by telling you there's 3 myths that you need to eliminate if you want to succeed. All right. The first myth is that in individuals, so one person, like individuals are the ones who start successful companies by themselves. That is a myth, because great teams and great teams actually lead to a company success. You might have an idea it is true. There's some entrepreneurs that tell you they had an idea, but if data has shown that actually great companies become great because of the teams, right? So just because you have an idea does not mean you have to go at it alone. That's really the point. The more you can associate with people, finding co-founders and so on, the more you will increase your odds of success. As a matter of fact, even down the line, you will see that there's some VC firm, venture capitalist firm, when they want to invest into a company, they don't do it if it's a solo founder. They look for co-founders, concept that has co-founder. So that's myth number 1. It's about teams. The second myth number 2, is that all successful entrepreneurs are very charismatic. Well, that is a myth. You don't have to be charismatic, gung-ho. It's like you have so much aura, like the young people like to say nowadays. No, it's not about just being charismatic, but it's about being an effective communicator. If you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, definitely you need to be an effective communicator, somebody who can recruit well, somebody who is a good salesperson. So being an effective communicator is key, but you don't have to be charismatic to succeed as an entrepreneur. That is a myth, right? Myth number 3 that we need to bust before we get into it is that there's like an entrepreneurship gene. It's something you either born with or you don't have, right? So that is also false because there are skills that if you learn or if you find a way to associate yourself with people who have those skills, there are certain skills that will increase the odds of succeeding. All right, skills like people management, sales, and so on. But it's really the skills that you need if you want your entrepreneurship to succeed. And one of the most essential skills, because I mentioned people management, I mentioned sales skills, but really it's about how you conceive great product and how you deliver great product. And actually, this book, this series of steps that we will cover over the next few weeks, these 24 steps, that is actually the skill that it covers. This is not about people management. It will not necessarily teach you sales skills, but these steps will help you very tangibly figure out how to conceive great product and how to deliver great product to the market, because that's really the essence of entrepreneurship. You need to have great product and deliver them into the market. This can be service, so product and services, but the conception of it and then the delivery, commercialization into the market, that is the essence of what makes great entrepreneurship. So let me also differentiate. Let me see if I can show you. I can maybe, let me see here. Move on into, give me 1 second. So let's see those 4 steps, the 24 steps that I was mentioning. I want you to be able to see them. And so you'll notice that this is a live show. This is not a recorded show. I did it very purposely. This series will be live, all of them, because it's easy to record something, you go back, you correct, and you make it very polished. No, I want this to be very authentic because I really want you to see that this is something I've lived, I've gone through. And doing it in a live way, I believe, is best. And then if we make a mistake, we're humans, all right? So I'm not a professional professor. I'm a guy just like you who's watching me. So, and you will see it as we do it in live here. So I may stumble through some technical difficulties every once in a while. For example, now I'm trying to figure out how to project this screen to you. And, oh, there you have it. Bam. Let me see. Yes, sir. Okay. So I believe you should be in a position to see the whole screen. Let me project it here. Give me 1 second, folks. Give me 1 second. Apologies about that. And let's see. Okay, I believe now should be in a position to see the screen. Let me see here. So okay. All right. So these are the 24 steps that we'll be covering. Okay. So as you can see here, you have step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay. So there you have it. Step 1, step 2, and step 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to step 1, all the way to step 24. Can we make this bigger? I'm having a hard time reading, which is why I'm struggling. Let's make it big. There you go. Okay, fantastic. All right. Phew. Figuring this on the go, how to use this software to project your screen and so on. All right, so those 24 steps, this is essentially, you'll see step number 1, market segmentation. Step number 2, beachhead market. Like step number 1, 2, and it goes all the way to step number 24, which is developing a product plan. So this is a roadmap. Again, entrepreneurship is not an exact science, But these steps will help you go from having an idea into your head and delivering a great product or service into the market. These steps work, folks. I went through it. Countless business people go through it. Rice University, the university I went through, which is, by the way, the #1 ranked university in America when it comes to entrepreneurship. They follow this method. Last year alone at Rice University, there was over 325 companies that were created. Rivals like the Stanfords and so on. They follow this method. So I'm hammering this not just to waste time. This really, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, will bring you value. If you follow these steps, if you're somebody who's not quite sure how that idea that you have in your head, you can turn it into a successful startup and business, this method works. And so why do we have different colors here? Is because those steps are actually divided in 6 different themes. You will see, as you can see, there's 6 different colors, right? And so I'm going to scroll a bit. So here's the reason why we have those different colors. So steps 1 to 9, as you can see here. So the first theme is, who is your customer? Then it moves to the next theme is, what can you do for your customer? And then we go to the next theme is, how does your customer acquire your product? And then the following theme is, how do you make money off of your product? So those are steps 15 to 19. And then, how do you design and build your product? By the way, when it says product, but it's product and services. I want to highlight that. For example, if it's a consulting firm that's offering, advices and stuff like that, that's service, right? But it's still, these steps still work for that. And then, how do you scale your business? So now your business is launching, and how do you scale it? So you'll see that the colors, for example, who is your customer? Step 1 to 5, and then jumping to 9 is what you have here on the roadmap. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 9. So as we go through these steps, so every week we'll be going through step 1, step 2. I'm going to combine those steps. So I wanted you to see this so that you have a good idea of what it is that I will be bringing to you. So that, again, when you have an idea, as you go through these steps, we review something on Friday. Maybe you let it marinate on Friday night. You try it on Saturday and Sunday. You try it throughout the week. And then you can send your comments if you need me maybe to answer an additional question about that topic. Because obviously, I'll do my best to summarize this. But I also understand that, we will miss out a lot of stuff, right? We can't just cover an entire book that we've gone through a whole semester at once, but I'll summarize the most important elements, but also help you essentially materialize your ideas by focusing on the more important point. But if there's something you need me to address, don't hesitate. Send a comment, send an email. You can find the email on the page, right, by going into the description of our YouTube page. By the way, so make sure you subscribe also, so that as new videos come up, you get a notification bell, all right? And then you get the notification that the videos are released. So yeah, so there you have it. Now, in addition to the steps that I just showed you here, as we go through turning your idea into a real company using entrepreneurship, I want to make a distinction between 2 different type of entrepreneurship, okay? So let me make this screen bigger. All right. And the book differentiates between SME, which is small and medium entrepreneurship, right here on the left graph that you see. And then on the right, you have IDE, all right, which is innovation-driven entrepreneurship. What is innovation? There's a formula that you see on the bottom here. This formula that I will explain what innovation is. But essentially, there's a distinction. If you look this table on the left, that says SME, small and medium entrepreneurship. And by the way, both these tables have the same axis, right? These graphs have the same axis. On the vertical axis, you have your revenue, cash flow. So that's both on the left and right. And then on the horizontal axis, you have time, right? As time goes forward. The main difference is essentially you have your line here. All right, that's here you have more of a curved line under innovation driven entrepreneurship. That first goes below zero, negative, and then exponentially grows. And then you have under SME, small and medium entrepreneurship, it's more of a steady growth, a constant growth. The difference is that the SME, small and medium entrepreneurship, is really mostly like family driven entrepreneurship that focuses in a local area, wants to address one local market, and so on and so forth. And so typically in that type of entrepreneurship, as you start investing more revenues, right, into the business, you almost have an immediate repercussion. You see it right away. So you put more revenue, you hire more people, the revenue will tend to grow with that investment. Whereas IDE, innovation driven entrepreneurship, which by the way, these steps in this book focus on IDE, innovation driven entrepreneurship. Typically, as you start, you will lose money in the beginning as you develop your concept. But then as you start gaining traction, the growth becomes exponential. I mean, if you look at something like Amazon, for example, Amazon for many years, Amazon lost money, right? As it's building itself, building its technology, logistics, and so on and so forth, creating its market. It lost money for many years. Granted, they had great investors and so on that were patient, that saw the vision and understood, but they lost money. Many of these companies start that way, Facebook and others. But then when you start hitting the traction, the growth is exponential. So again, these steps will be focusing on an IDE type of entrepreneurship. So we'll not focus on SME entrepreneurship, but innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Now, when I say innovation, I'm not saying technology-driven entrepreneurship. All right, because you can have innovation even without just the technology. And let me explain myself. And you'll see this formula on the bottom here. I hope you can read it. If not, let me just make it a bit bigger. There you go. So when we say innovation-driven entrepreneurship, what do we mean here? Essentially, the book presents innovation with this formula, saying that innovation is invention times commercialization. All right? Invention times commercialization. To have an innovation-driven entrepreneurship, you as an entrepreneur do not have to be the one that creates the invention. No, you don't have to be the one that has the intellectual property, that has to be the patent to an invention. You don't necessarily have to be the one. Look at Steve Jobs, for example. Steve Jobs became very successful with Apple, but as we know, Steve Jobs did not invent the mouse, for example, right? The mouse was not invented by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs did not invent the computer. However, he was able to take that invention with a lot of innovation in the business model and how that's presented to the market and so on, and then commercialize that. So that was innovation-driven entrepreneurship. There you have it. You don't necessarily have to be the one who created the invention. Look at Google, for example. Google is known today to have made a lot of money based on AdWords, right? Keywords-driven advertising and so on. Well, actually, Google was not the one who created keyword-driven advertising. That was a company called Overture that created that, but Google took it and was able to commercialize that in a bigger fashion, strategically, and so on. So essentially, when we talk about innovation-driven entrepreneurship, again, as we go through the steps, if you have the patents, like you've created an invention, fantastic. But even if you have not, fear not, because you can take an invention and then present it in a way where your innovation can be in the business model, in the way you present that to the market. And so your business model positioning, that can be that can bring a lot of innovation. And then you commercialize that, and then your concept scales. So there you have it. So that's what we talk about, and that's what all these steps will be about. Okay. So again, to give you a summary, we will focus on innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Okay. We will do it in 24 steps, following these 24 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to do it in numerical order. Sometimes you jump. For example, you go to step, when we do theme 1, you go to, as you see here, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you jump to 9. When you're on the following theme, which is what can you do for your customer, you'll do 6, 7, 8, and then we'll jump to 10 and 11. So we'll not obviously do it in a numerical order, but we will nevertheless follow these steps. All right. So again, get the book if you can. Follow this, and this will work. I guarantee it. I really, really guarantee it. All right. So now, before you even start with step 1, today we will not do step 1. We've already gone for a while. So I'm going to cover actually the introduction, because before you even get to step 1, which is market segmentation, as you can see here. All right. Market segmentation. Well, before you start segmenting the markets, well, you need to have an idea. Okay. Right. You need to have an idea. Like, which idea are you going to work with? And so let's start there. So today I'm going to spend just a few minutes. We've already gone on for a while. I'm going to spend a few minutes. Let me do this here. I'm going to spend a few minutes just talking about how we have what to do with an idea. Let me see here. Okay, so I've removed the screen, so now you can see me. Those steps, fantastic. And next weekend we're starting with step 1, and I might combine it with step 2. But before we do step 1 and 2, as I said, you need an idea, right? You need to have an idea, and typically there's 3 ways for you to even start exploring an idea. You can literally start by saying, I have an idea, and that's all. So you have an idea, you think of a way where maybe you think that you can change the world with some of this concept. You think you have an idea, really, that's revolutionary, and it's still in your head, but that's a good way to start a new venture, start entrepreneurship. So there's typically 3 ways again. Way number 1, you say, I have an idea. The second way is, I have a technology. Like, you're an inventor, you've invented something, you have a patent, something. You said, I have an invention. All right. And then, so technological invention and so on. And a third way that people typically would start a venture is, I have a passion. So you're confident and comfortable that what you have inside of you, what drives you and so on, you believe that can lead into a profitable venture. So that's just a starting point. So again, those three ways that people typically start a venture. 1 is you have an idea. 2, you have a technology, right? Or an invention. 3, you have a passion. And so therefore, I think before you start, there's a very important question that the book also addresses here that wants everybody to ask themselves is, what can I do well that I would love to do for an extended period of time? That's a good starting point. What do I do well and that I would love to do for an extended period of time? That is really a sound question that you want to ask yourself. So essentially, if you have an idea, so let me just give you an example, because this is how I started when I was in business school. I'm somebody who was always passionate about Africa. I've mentioned it in AfriKili, right? How I left the African continent when I was very young, ended up moving to Europe. I ended up growing up in Europe, and then later on relocated to the United States of America. But I've always had that passion in everything I did. It was always, I just felt like I needed to be connected to the continent. And so even in business school, as we're exploring ideas to begin with our new enterprise class, so to me, it was about Africa. So here's an interesting question. And this question is even mentioned in the book. It's like, okay, I want to start a company in Africa that will create a sustainable business model to improve the life for the people there and empower them with jobs. That would be a good question, a good starting point. So this is more like I have an idea. And to me, the idea was energy. And my company ended up becoming a renewable energy company. So that idea that was formulated in business school turned out becoming Muinda Technology, which was the energy company, renewable energy company. And so that is a good starting point. And so these are all questions that you're asking us. So this is really that brainstorming phase. We're not even in step one. And so this is really the onset. Just trying to figure out, okay, so do I even have an idea? How good is do I have a tangible idea? So those are things you want to start with. If you have a technology, maybe it's you say, okay, I have a robot, that allows you to feel objects rendered by a computer. For example, it's a robot that allows you to feel objects rendered by a computer. That's just a question. It could be whatever technology that you've created. And today, by the way, let me take a parenthesis. And I want to, this is actually important, folks. We're going through an AI revolution today, right? Artificial intelligence. Wherever you look, it's like AI this. And AI is projected to even take away a lot of jobs to really transform the future of work. One thing I want to make clear is that, AI, all these technologies are still productivity technologies. And there's some, creation, but really to improve our productivity. And so just because you have AI and this data revolution does not mean that things like these steps we're going through become obsolete. Absolutely not. Because no matter how you look at it, an idea will still need to be tested, will still need to be vetted, you still need to determine the appetite in the market and so on and so forth. You need to determine the viability of your idea. Can you make money out of that idea? So technology and AI actually simply comes in a way, simply allow you to accelerate that process. So like something like these steps and so on. Today with AI and technology, you can accomplish these steps much faster than you would in the past. You have data that's even more readily accessible with technology. So technology allows you to be more productive, but don't get it twisted. You still need some of this fundamental task in the process of creating a company, launching a company. And so technology just accelerates that. And obviously, the more proficient you are in technology, the better you are. And so the revised version of this book, I think, also addresses a bit more of the technology. But nevertheless, don't think that these steps are obsolete because there's AI today and there's ChatGPT, there's all these AI tool, Wally, you name it. No, DALL-E, you name it. You use as we go through these steps, your thinking should be is how can I use technology to accelerate this process? So that's really the idea there. Oh my, I didn't realize this. It's been 48 minutes already. Oh wow. I need to do a better job. The idea was to keep these Business PAC live shows on Fridays and Saturday to 45 minutes. So I've been very verbose. I went above what I anticipated. So next week I'll really strive to present you the steps and really cut it in 45 minutes. Well, okay, fine. So this is the first show. So bear with me, please. I'm almost at the end of this. Yeah. So technology is just there as a way for you to be more efficient in the process of ironing out this process. All right. So you have a passion, right? So I covered an idea, technology. But what about passion? You said, for example, I have a master's in whatever field it is, like engineering or something. And you say I can quickly prototype almost any technology gadget I want. So, and you say, I want to put my skills to use, but in a way that is very impactful. And I want to be my own boss. So how do you do that? So really the book in introduction, which is step 0, covers a bit of that. It covers some of the steps that tells you how to go from, I have a passion to say, this is an idea worthwhile, and even I have a technology. So there's different things you can consider. You can consider things like knowledge, the connections that you have, your capability. So in terms of knowledge, it's like, for example, something that's very helpful. If you're in the brainstorming phase, you want to be your own boss. Maybe you don't even have an idea, right? So this is really about helping you find an idea. So these are some of the questions you can look at. Look at your own knowledge. So ask yourself, for example, what is the focus of my education? What is the focus of my career if you've been working for a while? And look down that path. You can look at your abilities, capabilities, and ask yourself, what am I really good at? What am I proficient at? Look at the connections that you have. All right. So, what do you know that has, or rather, who do you know that has expertise in different industries? Like, do you know other entrepreneurs? Like, who do you know in your network? That might be a way to explore that and can help you come up with an idea. Look at the financial assets. Do you have access to significant financial capital? Will you be relying on a bit of your savings to start out? Will you bootstrap? So those are things just to help you iron out ideas. Do you have name recognition? Okay. What about your past work experience? Did you find that there were some inefficiencies, some pain points in your past work experience that really bugged you, that made you think, man, I wish somebody would do this differently? That could be the beginning of an idea there. Now, commitment. Do you really have the time and effort for you to pursue this new endeavor? Are you ready to really make your new venture your primary focus? That is a key one. Because even these steps here, look, if you're just a dreamer and you come up with an idea and you just wait and hope that it comes to fruition, that will never happen. There's some work involved. Like this 24 step, I'm not kidding you. It's not like there's some work involved. It will not happen magically. But the one thing I guaranteed when I began is that one, entrepreneurship can be taught. But secondly, if you commit to it, I guarantee that you will come up with an idea and then you can transform that idea into a successful concept. And then I will conclude here is with co-founders. So you come up with an idea before you even start. It's very important to think hard within your circle, your network, who can be a good coworker, a good co-founder. Because it's very. I remember when I said one of the myths that I busted when we started, that entrepreneurship is a solo sport. It's all about individuals. No. The better co-workers, co-founders you have, the better your odds of success. The better odds of success you have. Really think hard about it. So how can you start? Do you have people in your network? Some people will tell you stay away from your family and so on. You have some people that were siblings that were at work, but look more, step away from the emotional side and think about it critically. Your co-founder is somebody that has to complement you. So if you have some weaknesses that try to see, is there somebody that I know that has those strengths? All right, so then we can complement each other. That is very, very, very key. And then you go from there. All right, folks. So I will end up here. So this was just like an introduction to the book. Again, the idea, as we're concluding, is to bring you value. I've talked a lot from the get-go when we started this platform. I've brought you a lot of value. You've told me that in the AfriKili, produced video. You guys loved it, and I was here getting comments and so on. Now we move to the live show. We're recovering, things happening around the global PAC. So now I want to move from that, as I said, to go into action. And this is the best I can do right now in terms of business, is this Business PAC new concept. The knowledge that I acquired at Rice University, again, one of the best universities in the nation. It's constantly ranked in the Forbes, in the news reports and so on. It's a fantastic school. I gained great education, not to brag, but it's something I want to share with you. And I believe that just the same way I was able to get value by going through this program, you can get that value as well. And that's the goal. I will do that so that we can seize this information and then we can materialize it. Because too often in our communities, I feel like we suffer from our potential not being materialized, not being maximized. So this is my attempt to remedy that in a way, in my small way. Bring you this information. Let's act upon it, and then do it in a unified way, and so that together as a community we can raise up. But really, entrepreneurship is very, very powerful and can help many of us transform our ideas into successful business, help us increase our income, and then create more wealth. And ultimately, it's a tool that will help reduce the wealth gap if it is utilized properly. And yes, entrepreneurship is not an exact science, but frameworks such as these 24 steps that we'll cover every Friday going forward, these frameworks work. Those are proven. And come back next weekend and you will see next Friday, we'll start with step 1. I will show you my Excel files. You'll see the data. I'll show you how to do it. Not just give you a presentation, but actually show you how to go through the steps. And so we can do it together. And I believe that some of you that are watching will gain something out of this. All right, family, thanks a lot for your support. I'm going to end up here. Please remember to subscribe to the channel if you've not done that. If you appreciate what we're doing, click the subscribe button. All right. Only takes a second. It helps the channel grow. Also, it helps you become part of this community, part of the dialogue. If there's something that I cover that you want more clarity, feel free to send me a comment, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer and provide even more information if you need it. Thanks a lot. We are a beautiful people. We're capable people. And we are a strong people. Don't let everybody convince you otherwise. My Business PAC people, my Global PAC people, thanks a lot. And we will see you next Friday. See you next time.